Alright, this is a quick lesson on Chapter 2, Lesson 6 about sales tax, tips, markup, which means we're still dealing with the overall concept of percents. Remember we talked about that percent meaning per 100, divide by 100. We also know it as a common denominator of 100 is really what we're looking at. And of course, percent's always compared to a whole being 100%. Alright, so I'm going to be doing the guided practice off page 154. First one says you're buying a $2.95 notebook. We're paying 5% sales tax, and it says find the total cost to the nearest cent. And we need to be very aware of what the question is, because with these percents, especially with sales tax and tips and markup, you're going to have one of two questions. They might be asking what the sales tax is, or they might be asking what it would cost after sales tax. One has the sales tax as the answer, one has the sales tax added to the whole number. Okay, so I have a $2.95 notebook. And I'm paying 5% sales tax. What that means is sales tax, remember, is a percentage that they're going to be adding on to your cost. Now, they're finding a 5% sales tax in this case, 5% sales tax, and they're going to be adding it onto their cost. And they asked this time for the total cost, so I will be adding $2.95 to my 5%. Now, we've talked about a number of different ways to solve this. You can solve it with a proportion. You can solve it with an algebraic equation. So I'm going to do it a couple different ways, both different ways. I'm also going to talk about some things that you can do for for problems where they want you to give me the answer after it's been added on. All right, so I'm going to set this one up. We know that it's a percent problem, so 100 is on the bottom. 5 is the percent, and then this $2.95 is the 100% price. The 100% price. So really, what I'm finding is what is 5% of $2.95. But that's really not what I want, but I'm gonna solve it that way anyway, because 5 is the tax. That means when I get this, I'll be solving for the tax, but the question was, what is the total? If I want the total, well, I need to pay for the $2.95 also. So I have two different ways I could solve this. If I paid for the 100% price and the 5% price, I could solve for the 105% price, which would be the total plus tax, right? And then the 5% is just the tax. So according to my label, I could solve this. And if I solved 5 times $2.95 divided by 100, I would get 0.1475, which I could round that to, we'll just round that to 15 cents. Okay? But that would be the tax. If I did it with the 105, now that 15 cents tax would be added on to the $2.95. So if I took 2.95 times 105 divided by 100, it would get me the 100% price and the 5% price added together. So now I would be at that $2.95 plus 15, or $3.10. Okay, so we have two different ways to solve that. We could also solve it with an algebraic equation. What do I really want to know? I want to know what number is 5%. Now I have to write that as a non-selfie version, right? What number is 5% of $2.95. Okay, once again, this is only solving for the tax, not for the tax plus tip. If I wanted to put the tax plus the item itself, I'd have to pay 100% and 5%. Now I'd be solving for the total. You're going to get the exact same answer if you do this one, $3.10. All right, so let's try the second problem. Number 2 says $28 lunch, and we're doing a 15% tip. Now I get the bill for my lunch that I'm paying for. Costs $28. And I decide I want to leave a 15% tip, a gratuity. Remember, this is something you give to a waiter or waitress or somebody that you appreciate their service. So I'm going to find out what 15% of this thing is, and then add it on. Once again, you could be asked about what the tip is. That would be this 15%. You could be asked what the total is. Now that's the 100% plus the 15%. Okay, so once again, we can set that up. I can solve for 15%. What is, don't know, 15% of 28. That would be solving for the tip. Or I could say, well, I want to add them together because I really want the total plus the tip, right? Total plus tip would be 100% of the price plus 15% of the price is 115% of the price. So whichever way you solve it, you can solve it with the 15% of 28 or with the 115% of 28. If you solve the 15%, you're going to get $4.20. If you solve with the 115%, it's going to have the $4.20 added to the 28, and so you end up at $32.20. That's tip. Let's skip to number 4 because it deals with markup. So markup is a concept of, first of all, if you buy something for $60 from Walmart, it didn't cost them $60. It didn't cost Walmart $60. They paid much less for it. They're going to be marking up the price. So they might have bought it for $30, marked it up to $60. They mark it up a percentage. Okay, based on what that is. Like electronics, I know are usually 15 to 20% markup. Other items are as high as 100 or 200% markup. All right, so if I look at number 4, it says find the selling price of a $62.25 karaoke machine with a 60.5% markup. So I have this karaoke machine that was $62.25, and they're going to mark it up 60%. That 60%, excuse me, represents how much they want to make on it. So that would be roughly this amount. They're going to add that to the price, that same amount. They're going to add that 60.5% on to the 100% of what it costs them, and they're going to charge you the total. Okay? You might see these are all similar. All these problems are similar. Finding a percentage and then adding it on. Finding a percentage and then adding on. But be careful. They could just ask how much they're going to mark it up. So I better reread that question and make sure I answer the right question. It says find the selling price. That means I want to know what they're going to sell it to me for. Not just how much money they're going to make, the markup, right? But how much they're going to sell it to me for. So I have $62.25. We can set that up. Once again, if I solve for 60.5% of $62.25, I'll be solving simply for the markup. But if I add that 60.5% to the 100% they paid for it, because they're going to charge me what they paid and what they want to make, right? So then I would add those together and I'd have 160.5%, and that would be the selling price, which is what they're calling it, the selling price. So I want to find out what 160.5%, I'm trying to do that real quickly, 160.5% of $62.25. And that would end up being $99.91 when you multiply and divide. $99.91. They bought it for this. They marked it up this certain amount, which we could go ahead and solve. Let me go ahead and solve that. If I found 60.5% of that $62.25, I would get $37.66. $37.66. That's the amount that they're going to charge you on top of what they paid for it. So what it cost them plus the markup is that 160.5, or what the selling price is of $99.91.